Hello, my name is Sky, and this is my, I guess you could say, audition video for George R. R. Martin's Song of Fire Ice HBO show. I would love to be on this show in any capacity. I'm, I mean, production assistant, gopher, the guy that has to run and grab stuff, the guy that has to carry the heavy stuff around on the set, the guy that has to, pick up the muck and the animal droppings, whatever. I would love to work on there. But really, I would like to be there in the context of either an assistant writer or even helping out in terms of creating the realism for the show or the set design and behaviors and actions of the characters. To explain some of my background, I have a degree in English from UC Santa Barbara. I studied a lot of history there as well as psychology and sociology and even linguistics. I am a fan of military history and warfare, especially pre-gunpowder. Rome, the Tudors show on Showtime, great show. I think that would be a great way, or that would be a great place to just start looking at the concepts that you're going to explore in the TV program. Um, and a bunch of other stuff. I was in the military for 5 years. I joined to become a airborne journalist. But so but the journalism part was definitely something part of me. So I'm very interested in just looking at examining things, asking questions, and that sort of stuff. I'm a big fan of George R. R. Martin's work as well. Over the past several years, I've written a couple different 100-plus page stories. Initially, I was influenced by J.R.R. Tolkien, and then and his The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and I even read the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales. Even scanned through the Atlas book. This was way before the movies came out. I also read Raymond E. Weiss' Magician series, Red Force Saga, George Duncan's The King's Blade saga, Frank Herbert's Dune series, a lot of books by Farley Mowat, Glenn Cook's The Black Company series, um, several books by C.S. Forester, and several history books, especially World War II, but as well as some older, well, yeah, mostly World War II, and some Vietnam War and stuff like that. I, in a way, I kind of wrote a story in a similar sort of atmosphere as George R. R. Martin's Song of Fire and Ice, a medieval world, feudal landscape, and to me, this is where I think I could be of some help and benefit, because the story is great. The story is good. The thing is, though, because it's a story, because it's a written story, there is a sort of to tell the story to the audience, you kind of have a sort of one-sided look. The characters are going to behave in certain ways and say certain things because of that's what the audience needs to know and to understand. In terms of the TV show, yeah, you're going to have to change this up because you could have you're following along one character's story per episode, and just see how the greater story is unfolded in response to that. But I think in terms, or with the fact that you have just so many different characters, you can almost end up like with Sopranos, where I like Sopranos, but I didn't really see it from the beginning. And then I caught episodes here and there, and it would have the story would have to be explained to me, or some characters have to be explained to me in the relationship. So that could be something of the problem with the show. It could be easily countered by just having basically place names, thrown in there, and even for the heck of it, throwing in time frames to help distinguish. Okay, what happened here? What happened there? Is this a flashback? Is this something that's going to be used to explain this action or that? And even then, that's the question of would you want to have explanation? Would it be necessary to have it? if you wanted to go for the realistic, gritty, sense of it all, you can have acts of violence that are carried out because of so and so, but you don't see the step by step from the initial order being given to the actual carnage that results. A lot of things happen in between, and you don't always have to show and explain that. That shows the randomness of war. But for the people who are like really diehard fans about like what's going on, they would know. Okay, that's why that happened. But I mean, it's a whole bunch of stuff there. The warfare. Oh my goodness, the fighting. So when you have a time and a place where metal is very rare, what are you going to have? What are you going to use as a result? Or what sort of different things are you going to have? And in this case, you would have the few basically key, well-trained, well-fed, supplied soldiers and fighters, which include the knights and the sirs, and then you have the peasant armies. What are the peasant armies be given spears, which if you know how to use it, and if you can teach the guys the right way, it becomes quite effective. Especially when you can have things like skilltrons and other formations. That's something else I would just love to write about. That's stuff I like to write about. That's stuff I'm very fascinated by. Creative Assembly created a series of games called the Total War series. One of them is Medieval Total War, and now there's Medieval 2, and that even has some expansions. And speaking of which, Mr. Martin, I couldn't help but notice when I was playing the Britannia campaign that the elements of Song of Fire and Ice seem to be there. So, but good job on using that as the historical reference for the story, because it works out pretty well. But what else? I mean, the idea of mercenaries. It's a caste society. People fit into their certain places because there is no school. There is no place that basically all the kids go to and they learn. Okay, well, this is everything that's available to you. No, it's all right. You're the son of so and so. That's kind of what you're going to probably be aiming for. And if you're an extra son, well, it's when it starts. Okay, well, you're going to get lucky maybe if you're lucky. But the warfare, the violence, the interactions, how people relate to each other, the court intrigues. It's great stuff. I don't know. And something else I was thinking about too is for a lot of the characters, they would have spy networks of some sort. In a place where information is slow in getting around, and especially where it's reliable information, you get a letter, you don't always take that letter at face value. You want to know what are the politics. Of all the people who were involved or mentioned in this letter, what is the relationship going on? And this is where you want your inside man or inside person. So you would see, in the case of the Starks, being so far away from the capital, that in my opinion, they would have their local representative, and it would either be an official or unofficial. And in fact, they'd probably have both, and maintain those, just so that they would be aware of what's happening and any which way politics are shifting. The advantage of that is that you don't have when your own people getting involved in the court politics, which is basically kind of saves you, and then you just know what's happening. And if something does come along, you can have warning, or you can get the information to help make the best decision. And why? Well, because the people that got killed before. There's so much more I could talk about. I'm really looking forward to this series. I really hope that it can be done, and it can be done very well. Maybe The Wire, maybe I'm kind of liking the way Robin Hood was going, but I think they kind of started wishy-washying about stuff. I think there's a ton of amazing stuff that can be done, and just some amazing stories and elements. And it doesn't necessarily have to follow the story set out. A lot more could be added. A lot of stuff could be filled in. And the costumes and the food and and the castles. Tons of stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I would love to work with it. Thank you.